Ladies and gentlemen, life is suffering. There's no escaping that fundamental truth. Chaos lurks at every corner, and if you're not careful, it will consume you. But here's the thing. You don't have to be a victim of it. You don't have to let life crush you under its weight. You can stand up straight with your shoulders back and face the world with resilience. The key, mastery of your mind, your body, and your soul. Because if you don't take control, something else will. Your fears, your impulses, your past, these things will dictate your life unless you learn to discipline them. Master your thoughts and you shape your reality. Strengthen your body and you fortify your will. Nourish your soul and you find meaning in the chaos. So today, let's talk about transformation, not through blind optimism or wishful thinking, but through action, discipline, and responsibility. Because fixing your life doesn't start out there. It starts in here. Your mind is the battleground where every struggle in your life begins and where every victory is won. If you do not take control of your mind, something else will. Right. Your fears, your doubts, your insecurities, your past failures, all of them will seize the opportunity to dominate you if you allow them. The human mind is not naturally inclined toward order. It is predisposed to chaos. It is filled with distractions, impulses, and deeply embedded patterns of behavior that often work against your highest potential. The first step in mastering your life is mastering your mind, because every action, every habit, and every result you produce originates in the thoughts you choose to cultivate. If you let your thoughts wander aimlessly, they will drift toward negativity, self-doubt, and worst-case scenarios. The brain has a survival mechanism wired into it, a tendency to detect threats, to focus on what could go wrong, and to prepare for potential failure. But if you allow this mechanism to control you, it will keep you in a state of fear and hesitation. It will prevent you from taking risks, from stepping outside your comfort zone, and from pursuing the life you are capable of living. That is why mastering your mind requires intentional effort. You must train your thoughts the way a disciplined warrior trains for battle, with precision, focus, and a refusal to allow weakness to take hold. One of the greatest weapons in mental mastery is self-awareness. If you are unaware of your thought patterns, you are powerless to change them. Most people do not think about their thinking. They simply react to their emotions, their environment, and their circumstances. They assume that whatever thoughts enter their mind must be accepted as truth. But that is a dangerous mistake. Just because you think something does not mean it is real, rational, or beneficial. You must become an observer of your own mind, catching destructive thoughts before they take root and replacing them with disciplined, constructive thinking. The way you interpret reality is shaped by the stories you tell yourself. If your inner dialogue is filled with self-defeating narratives, I'm not good enough, I always fail, nothing ever works out for me, then your reality will reflect those beliefs. Your brain will search for evidence to confirm them, reinforcing a cycle of self-sabotage. But if you deliberately reframe your thoughts, choosing interpretations that empower you rather than weaken you, you begin to reshape your reality. This is not about lying to yourself or adopting blind optimism. It is about taking control of the meaning you assign to life's events. Discipline is the foundation of a strong mind. A mind left undisciplined will be swayed by every external influence. Social media, news, other people's opinions, fleeting emotion. To gain control, you must practice mental discipline through daily habits. Structured thinking, intentional learning, and mindful reflection. Reading challenging books, engaging in deep work without distraction, and practicing meditation or focused breathing exercises are all tools that sharpen the mind. The ability to focus deeply without being pulled in 100 directions is a rare skill, and those who develop it gain a significant advantage in life. The words you use shape your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your destiny. If you speak in vague, weak, or uncertain terms, your mind will follow suit. Words like "I'll try," "I hope," or "maybe someday" create a mentality of hesitation and powerlessness. Instead, adopt precise, decisive language. I will, I must, why, I'm capable. This subtle shift in self-communication strengthens your mental resolve and programs your brain to operate with confidence and clarity. You must also guard your mind against external contamination. The world is full of distractions, negativity, and mind-numbing entertainment designed to keep you passive and unthinking. If you constantly expose yourself to shallow, meaningless content, your mind will reflect that shallowness. Instead, fill your mind with wisdom, knowledge, and thoughts that challenge you to grow. Surround yourself with people who elevate your thinking rather than drag it into mediocrity. The books you read, the conversations you engage in, and the environments you immerse yourself in all contribute to the architecture of your mind. Emotions are another force that must be mastered. Most people are slaves to their emotions, reacting impulsively to whatever they feel in the moment. But emotions are unreliable. They fluctuate, often in response to external stimuli rather than objective truth. Mastering your mind means developing emotional discipline, learning to acknowledge your feelings without being controlled by them. This does not mean suppressing emotions, but rather understanding them, questioning their validity, and choosing responses based on logic and principle rather than fleeting moods. The mind also requires a purpose to function at its highest level. A directionless mind is prone to anxiety, confusion, and aimlessness. Without a strong sense of purpose, you will be easily distracted and swayed by trivial concern. But when you have a clear goal, a defined mission that challenges you to grow, your mind becomes focused, sharp, and resilient. Purpose gives structure to your thoughts, aligning them toward meaningful action rather than wasted energy. The battle for mental mastery is not won in a single moment of inspiration. It is a daily commitment, a lifelong discipline. It requires vigilance, effort, and the willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself. It demands that you take full responsibility for your mind, what you think, what you consume, how you interpret reality, and how you respond to challenges. No one else can do this for you. It is a fight you must engage in every day, because the quality of your life depends on the quality of your mind. Your body is the vessel through which you experience reality. It is the foundation upon which your mind and soul operate. And if you neglect it, you undermine your ability to function at your highest potential. Strengthening your body is not just about aesthetics or physical fitness. It is about cultivating resilience, discipline, and the capacity to endure hardship. A weak body leads to a weak mind. When you allow yourself to fall into physical lethargy, when you do not push yourself to build strength, endurance, and vitality, you invite weakness into every other aspect of your life. The way you treat your body directly influences your confidence, your energy levels, and your ability to face the challenges that life throws at you. Discipline over the body begins with movement. A sedentary existence weakens not only the muscles, but also the will. If you do not engage in regular physical exertion, your body deteriorates, and with it, your capacity for mental toughness. Exercise is not merely an activity for improving physical health. It is a test of willpower. The process of pushing through discomfort, of lifting heavier weights, running longer distances, or enduring pain develops a mindset that extends far beyond the gym or the training ground. It teaches you that effort leads to growth, that struggle builds resilience, and that your limitations exist only as long as you accept them. When you train your body, you train your ability to endure suffering, and suffering is an unavoidable part of life. The stronger you become physically, the better prepared you are to handle the inevitable trials that will come your way. The food you consume is another battleground, where discipline is either built or broken. Most people eat mindlessly, consuming whatever is convenient, pleasurable, or socially encouraged. They do not consider that every meal is an investment in their future, either an investment in strength and vitality or in disease and weakness. Junk food, processed sugars, and excessive indulgence may provide momentary gratification, but they erode your energy, cloud your thinking, and make you sluggish. What you put into your body affects your cognitive abilities, your emotional stability, and your ability to take decisive action. If you feed your body garbage, do not be surprised when your mind follows suit, sinking into lethargy, brain fog, and lack of motivation. Sleep is another often overlooked pillar of physical strength. People wear sleep deprivation like a badge of honor, as if pushing their bodies to exhaustion is proof of dedication. But when you sacrifice rest, you sacrifice your ability to think clearly, to regulate your emotions, and to function at peak performance. And your body is not a machine that can be endlessly pushed without consequence. It requires recovery. It requires respect. The discipline to maintain a proper sleep schedule is a sign of self-respect, of an understanding that your energy is a finite resource that must be managed wisely. The greatest thinkers, leaders, and warriors throughout history understood the value of physical restoration. They did not view rest as weakness, but as preparation for the battles ahead. Posture and physical presence communicate more about you than words ever could. A hunched posture, slouched shoulders, or weak body language signal to the world and to yourself that you lack confidence and control. Standing up straight, walking with intention, and moving with purpose not only change the way others perceive you, but also alter your own psychology. The mind and body are connected, and when you adopt a posture of strength, you reinforce a mindset of strength. The way you carry yourself is a daily declaration of your self-worth, and it influences the way you are treated by the world. The ability to endure discomfort is another aspect of physical mastery. Modern life is designed for comfort, climate-controlled environments, soft chairs, convenient food, instant gratification. But comfort breeds weakness when it is indulged too often. When you never test yourself against physical hardship, when you avoid discomfort at all costs, you become fragile. Exposure to controlled adversity, whether through intense physical training, cold showers, fasting, or any practice that pushes you beyond your comfort zone, builds resilience. It reminds you that you are capable of enduring much more than you think. And the greatest achievements in life do not come from seeking ease. They come from embracing struggle and using it as fuel for growth. Breath control is another often overlooked tool in mastering the body. The way you breathe affects your nervous system, your stress levels, and your ability to remain composed under pressure. Shallow, rapid breathing is a sign of anxiety and lack of control, while deep, intentional breaths activate the parasympathetic nervous system, calming the mind and stabilizing emotions. Throughout history, warriors, monks, and philosophers have understood the power of breath in maintaining focus, endurance, and mental clarity. Learning to control your breathing in moments of stress, pain, or exhaustion is a direct way to exert dominance over your body's automatic responses. The connection between the body and the mind is undeniable. A weak body leads to a weak mind, and a strong body supports a powerful intellect. The ancient Greeks understood this, which is why they valued both physical training and intellectual pursuit. They knew that a sharp mind in a feeble body was an incomplete force, just as brute strength without wisdom was reckless. When you cultivate physical strength, you reinforce discipline in every aspect of life. The habits required to train the body, consistency, perseverance, attention to detail, are the same habits that lead to success in business, relationships, and personal growth. If you can control what you eat, how you move, how you recover, and how you carry yourself, you are proving that you can control the direction of your life. The soul is the essence of who you are. It is the core of your being, the foundation of your values, and the source of your deepest convictions. While the mind directs your thoughts and the body carries out your actions, the soul gives meaning to both. Without a nourished soul, life becomes mechanical, an endless pursuit of external achievements without fulfillment. Many people spend their lives accumulating wealth, status, and possessions, only to find themselves feeling empty, lost and disconnected. This is because they have neglected the inner world, the part of themselves that transcends material success and connects them to something greater. A starving soul manifests in different ways. Chronic dissatisfaction, a lack of direction, feelings of emptiness despite outward success. People who ignore their soul try to fill the void with distractions, social media, entertainment, mindless consumption, yet none of these things can replace the need for true purpose and depth. They seek happiness in temporary pleasures, only to find that the more they indulge, the less satisfied they become. This is because the soul is not nourished by excess, but by meaning. It does not crave more entertainment or luxury, but rather depth, truth, and a sense of higher purpose. The first step in nourishing your soul is aligning yourself with something beyond the superficial. This could be faith, philosophy, art, or deep human connection. Anything that reminds you that life is more than just a series of tasks to complete. When you operate solely on the level of logic and material goals, you cut yourself off from the deeper currents of existence. But when you engage in practices that awaken your spirit, meditation, prayer, reflection, gratitude, you open yourself to a higher perspective. You begin to see your struggles not as random suffering, but as part of a larger journey. You start to understand that life's hardships are not meant to break you, but to shape you into someone stronger. Discipline is just as important for the soul as it is for the body and mind. Just as an untrained body becomes weak and an undisciplined mind becomes chaotic, an untended soul becomes restless and aimless. Feeding your soul requires effort and intentionality. It means making time for stillness in a world that constantly demands movement. It means seeking wisdom rather than shallow distractions. It means choosing to act in alignment with your highest values, even when it is difficult. Many people sacrifice their integrity for short-term gains, but this only leads to inner turmoil. The more you betray your values, the more fragmented your soul becomes. A healthy soul requires truth. This means being honest with yourself about who you are, what you believe, and where you are going. Many people lie to themselves to avoid discomfort. They suppress their real desires, deny their weaknesses, and construct false narratives to justify their choices. But self-deception only leads to more suffering in the long run. When you face the truth, even when it is painful, you liberate yourself. You create a solid foundation on which to build your life rather than one made of illusions that will eventually collapse. Seeking truth requires humility because it forces you to confront your own limitations. It is easier to blame others, to make excuses, to avoid the hard work of self-examination. But real growth begins when you stop running from reality and start engaging with it honestly. The soul is also nourished through meaningful relationships. Superficial interactions leave people feeling lonely even when they are surrounded by others. Genuine connection comes from depth, from conversations that challenge and inspire, from relationships that push you to become a better version of yourself. Many people settle for relationships that drain them, keeping company with those who enable their weaknesses rather than encourage their strengths. But true connection is built on honesty, respect, and shared purpose. Surrounding yourself with people who uplift your soul rather than deplete. It is one of the most important choices you can make. Gratitude is another essential practice for spiritual nourishment. When you constantly chase what you do not have, you develop a mindset of lack. You begin to see life through the lens of scarcity, always wanting more, but never feeling fulfilled. But when you cultivate gratitude, when you actively recognize the good in your life, no matter how small, you shift your perspective. You begin to see opportunities instead of obstacles, blessings instead of burdens. Gratitude does not mean ignoring hardship or pretending that everything is perfect. It means acknowledging the struggles, but choosing to focus on what is still good, what is still possible, and what you can still contribute. The soul also thrives on service. When you make life solely about yourself, your goals, your desires, your success, you eventually hit a wall. True fulfillment comes from giving, from using your strengths and resources to uplift others. This does not mean neglecting your own needs or sacrificing yourself for others' approval. It means recognizing that the greatest satisfaction comes from contributing to something beyond yourself. Whether it is helping someone in need, mentoring others, or simply bringing kindness into daily interactions, acts of service deepen your sense of purpose. They remind you that your existence is not isolated, but interconnected with the lives of others. Suffering is an unavoidable part of life, but whether it destroys you or strengthens you depends on your perspective. If you see pain as meaningless, you will fall into despair. But if you see it as part of a greater transformation, you can endure it with strength. Many people break under hardship because they have no deeper framework to make sense of it. But those who nourish their soul, who have faith, purpose, and inner fortitude, find a way to rise even when everything around them falls apart. Responsibility is the cornerstone of a meaningful and well-ordered life. It is the foundation upon which strength, discipline, and personal growth are built. Without responsibility, life becomes chaotic, aimless, and filled with excuses. Many people go through life blaming external circumstances for their failures, pointing fingers at society, their upbringing, or their misfortunes. But the moment you shift from blame to responsibility, you take back control. You realize that while you may not be responsible for everything that happens to you, you are absolutely responsible for how you respond. The sooner you accept this truth, the sooner you can begin building a life that is grounded in purpose and direction. Taking responsibility means acknowledging that your actions, decisions, and mindset shape your reality. It requires a deep level of honesty with yourself, a willingness to look at your life and admit where you have fallen short. This is not an easy process. It is far more comfortable to believe that the world is against you, that you are a victim of circumstance, that nothing is your fault. But this kind of thinking traps you in a cycle of helplessness. If you convince yourself that external forces control your destiny, you strip yourself of the power to change it. True freedom begins when you accept full accountability for your choices, your habits, and the results they produce. Discipline is inseparable from responsibility. You cannot claim to be responsible for your life while living in a state of disorder. Many people want success without sacrifice, rewards without effort, and respect without discipline. But life does not work that way. Everything of value requires effort, and effort requires responsibility. You must be willing to do what is necessary, even when it is difficult, even when it is uncomfortable. This means waking up early when you would rather sleep in, working when others are relaxing, and making decisions that align with your long-term goals rather than short-term gratification. The person who takes responsibility does not wait for motivation to strike. They act regardless of how they feel. A responsible person does not expect others to fix their problems. They do not wait for a perfect opportunity, nor do they rely on luck or external validation. They take action. Action. They understand that success is not something handed to them. It is something built through persistence, effort, and resilience. Many people sit back, waiting for someone else to rescue them, waiting for a break, waiting for circumstances to align in their favor. But those who take responsibility do not wait. They create. They take ownership of their situation and seek solutions rather than dwell on problems. One of the greatest indicators of responsibility is how you manage your time. Time is the most valuable resource you have, and how you spend it determines the quality of your life. People who fail to take responsibility for their time wasted on distractions, mindless entertainment, and meaningless pursuits. They prioritize comfort over growth, pleasure over progress. But those who understand the weight of responsibility guard their time with intensity. They structure their days, eliminate unnecessary distractions, and focus on what truly matters. They recognize that every hour wasted is an opportunity lost. Responsibility also means facing the truth, no matter how difficult it may be. Many people live in denial, refusing to confront the reality of their situation. They avoid hard conversations, suppress uncomfortable emotions, and deceive themselves to escape accountability. But growth requires truth. If you are unwilling to acknowledge where you are failing, you will never improve. This means admitting when you are wrong, taking criticism without defensiveness, and having the humility to learn from your mistakes. The responsible person does not shy away from self-examination. They embrace it because they know that truth is the only path to real progress. Another aspect of responsibility is how you treat others. People often demand respect without offering it, expect loyalty without earning it, and seek relationships without putting in the necessary effort. But responsibility means recognizing that your actions affect those around you. It means keeping your word, honoring your commitments, and treating people with integrity. It means taking ownership of your relationships, showing up for the people who depend on you, and being the kind of person who adds value rather than drains it. Those who take responsibility do not manipulate, deceive, or exploit others for personal gain. They build relationships based on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. Financial responsibility is another crucial component of a well-ordered life. Many people live recklessly, spending more than they earn, accumulating debt, and ignoring the consequences of their financial decisions. But taking responsibility means managing your resources wisely, making disciplined choices, and thinking long-term. It means understanding that financial stability is not about luck, but about intentional planning and self-control. Those who refuse to take responsibility for their finances often find themselves trapped in cycles of stress, dependence, and regret. But those who take control of their financial decisions gain freedom, security, and the ability to build a better future. Perhaps the most challenging aspect of responsibility is taking ownership of your emotions. It is easy to blame others for how you feel, to hold grudges, and to allow negative emotions to dictate your actions. But emotional responsibility means recognizing that your reactions are within your control. It means choosing how you respond to adversity, rather than being ruled by impulse. Many people go through life controlled by their emotions, allowing anger, jealousy, or resentment to drive their decisions. But those who take responsibility for their emotions learn to regulate them, to think before they react, and to rise above destructive patterns of behavior. Taking responsibility for your life is not a one-time decision. It is a daily commitment. It requires effort, consistency, and a willingness to accept the burdens that come with self-discipline. It means stepping up when it is easier to step back, taking action when it is tempting to remain passive, and holding yourself to a higher standard even when no one is watching. The responsible person does not look for shortcuts, does not make excuses, and does not wait for external validation. Well, they take ownership of their choices, their actions, and ultimately, their destiny. Self-mastery is the foundation of all personal transformation. It is the ability to govern yourself, to take control of your thoughts, emotions, and actions rather than being controlled by them. Many people go through life reacting to circumstances instead of shaping them. They allow external events, impulses, and emotions to dictate their behavior. But true strength lies in mastering yourself, in developing the discipline to act with intention rather than compulsion. When you control yourself, you control your destiny. The person who lacks self-mastery is at the mercy of every passing feeling, every temptation, and every external pressure. They drift through life without direction, easily swayed by circumstances, lacking the inner stability needed to withstand challenges. Self-mastery begins with self-awareness. You cannot control what you do not understand. Many people go through life unaware of their own patterns, blind to the ways they sabotage themselves. They repeat the same mistakes, fall into the same traps, and wonder why their lives never change. But those who seek mastery take the time to examine themselves honestly. They ask difficult questions. Why do I react this way? What habits are holding me back? Or am I making excuses? This level of self-examination is uncomfortable, but it is necessary. Only when you understand your weaknesses can you begin to strengthen them. Mastery over the mind is the first and most important step. Your thoughts shape your reality. If you allow negative, self-defeating thoughts to dominate your mind, they will manifest in your actions. Many people are trapped by their own thinking, constantly doubting themselves, dwelling on past failures, and fearing the future. But those who master their minds learn to take control of their thoughts. They do not allow their minds to be filled with fear, doubt, and distractions. They discipline themselves to focus on what is constructive, on solutions rather than problems, on possibilities rather than limitations. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending everything is positive. It means choosing to direct your mental energy toward what will make you stronger rather than weaker. Emotional control is another key aspect of self-mastery. Many people are slaves to their emotions. They allow anger, frustration, jealousy, and fear to dictate their behavior. They lash out when provoked, make impulsive decisions, and let their feelings control them. But emotions are not meant to be dictators. They are meant to be servants. Those who master themselves learn to regulate their emotions rather than be ruled by them. They develop the ability to pause before reacting, to assess a situation rationally, and to choose their response rather than default to their impulses. This is not repression, it is control. It is the ability to feel emotions fully without being controlled by them. Mastery over action is what turns discipline into reality. It is not enough to think the right thoughts or manage emotions. You must take deliberate, consistent action toward your goals. Many people fail because they lack follow-through. They start with enthusiasm but lose momentum when the excitement fades. They set goals but do not develop the discipline to execute them daily. But those who master themselves understand that consistency is the key to achievement. They do what needs to be done, whether they feel like it or not. They build habits that support their growth and eliminate those that hinder it. They understand that discipline is not a one-time effort, but a lifelong practice. Self-mastery also means controlling desires. In a world that constantly promotes indulgence, excess, and immediate gratification, the ability to delay gratification is a rare but powerful skill. Many people fall into patterns of addiction, procrastination, and overindulgence because they do not have control over their impulses. They seek comfort over progress, pleasure over purpose. But those who master themselves understand that real fulfillment comes from discipline, not indulgence. They do not allow fleeting desires to dictate their actions. They recognize that resisting short-term pleasure leads to long-term success. They train themselves to endure discomfort, to say no when necessary, and to remain focused on what truly matters. Another crucial aspect of self-mastery is the ability to adapt and evolve. Many people resist change, clinging to familiar habits and mindsets even when they no longer serve them. They fear the unknown, avoid challenges, and stay within their comfort zones. But those who master themselves embrace change as a necessary part of growth. They remain flexible, willing to adjust their approach when needed. They do not see failure as a final verdict, but as a lesson. They are not paralyzed by setbacks because they have trained themselves to see obstacles as opportunities for growth. The path to self-mastery is not easy. It requires discipline, patience, and relentless effort. It demands that you face your weaknesses, confront your fears, and take full ownership of your life. It is a lifelong pursuit, one that requires constant refinement and self-correction. But those who commit to it gain something invaluable, control over themselves. And when you master yourself, you become unstoppable. Success is not an accident. It is not something that happens by chance or luck. It is the result of deliberate effort, discipline, and a relentless commitment to improvement. Many people dream of success, but few are willing to do what is necessary to achieve it. They hope for a breakthrough, a lucky break, or an easy path, but real success is built through consistent effort over time. It requires vision, persistence, and the willingness to push beyond limitations. Those who succeed are not necessarily the most talented or the most fortunate. They are the ones who refuse to quit, who take responsibility for their actions, and who commit to continuous growth. Success begins with a clear vision. You cannot achieve what you cannot define. Many people drift through life without direction, moving from one thing to another without a clear goal. They lack focus, and as a result, they never make meaningful progress. But those who succeed have a strong sense of purpose. They know what they want, why they want it, and what it will take to get there. They set clear, specific goals and break them down into actionable steps. They do not rely on vague hopes or wishful thinking. They create a plan and commit to it. Discipline is the bridge between goals and achievement. Without discipline, even the best plans are useless. Many people start strong but fail to follow through. They get excited about a new goal, but when challenges arise, they lose motivation. But success is not built on motivation. It is built on discipline. It is the ability to show up every day, to put in the work even when you do not feel like it. It is the willingness to make sacrifices, to prioritize long-term success over short-term comfort. Those who succeed understand that consistency is more important than intensity. They do not wait for the perfect moment. They create momentum through daily effort. Failure is an inevitable part of success. Many people fear failure so much that they never take action. They avoid risks, play it safe, and settle for mediocrity. But failure is not the opposite of success. It is a necessary step toward it. Every successful person has failed multiple times. What separates them from others is their response to failure. They do not see it as a defeat, but as a lesson. They analyze their mistakes, adjust their approach, and keep moving forward. They understand that failure is only permanent if you quit. But if you learn from it, failure becomes a stepping stone to something greater. Success also requires resilience. Life is unpredictable and obstacles are inevitable. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and moments of doubt. Many people give up when things get difficult, believing that challenges are signs they should quit. But those who succeed are relentless. They refuse to let adversity define them. They develop mental toughness, the ability to push through difficulty without losing sight of their goal. They understand that setbacks are temporary and that persistence is the key to overcoming them. Another critical element of success is continuous learning. Many people stop growing once they achieve a certain level of comfort. They believe they have learned enough and they settle into complacency. But those who achieve lasting success never stop improving. They seek knowledge, challenge their own assumptions, and remain open to new ideas. They understand that growth is a lifelong process. They read, study, and surround themselves with people who challenge and inspire them. They do not let ego or arrogance prevent them from learning. They are always looking for ways to refine their skills and expand their understanding. The people you surround yourself with play a significant role in your success. Many people fail because they spend time with those who hold them back. Negative influences, toxic relationships, or individuals who discourage ambition. But those who succeed are intentional about their environment. They build relationships with people who push them to be better, who hold them accountable, and who share their values. They seek out mentors, individuals who have already achieved what they aspire to. They understand that success is not just about individual effort. It is also about the company you keep. Success requires sacrifice. Many people want to succeed, but are not willing to give up the things that hold them back. They want results without effort, rewards without discipline. But every great achievement comes at a cost. It may require giving up comfort, leisure, or even relationships that no longer align with your vision. It may require late nights, early mornings, and the willingness to do what others will not. But those who understand this are willing to pay the price. They do not see sacrifice as a burden. They see it as an investment in their future. Success is a journey, not a destination. It is not something you achieve once and then stop. It requires constant effort, adaptability, and a willingness to evolve. Many people achieve a certain level of success and then lose it because they become complacent. But true success is built on a foundation of continuous growth. It requires maintaining the same level of discipline, vision, and persistence, even after you reach your goals. Those who sustain success understand that it is not about reaching a finish line, but about constantly raising the bar.